There's a bigger boat. It's a 20 footer. It's one of the inflatable ones, but it's got two wheels on it. Basically, like rolls up like a huge luggage case. This thing's massive. So, well, I wanted to see if I had to get a real expensive permit and where I could get it. And I went and asked questions at the camping store here. And yeah, if it's got a motor on it, you have to register it. But other than that, just a boating permit if you don't have a motor on it. But this boat's like 21 foot long. It looks like something that the Coast Guard would use for like pulling a bunch of immigrants out of the water. Like it looks like it's built to carry a lot of people. But it's got like two little luggage wheels on it that are each about that big. They're like, what do they call those? The caster wheels. And you know, it's about as wide apart as it would be on your regular luggage. I look at Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist free list, usually for like free stuff. Sometimes there's stuff that people are just throwing out, but it's too heavy for them or they can't get it in the garbage can. I don't really have anywhere to put a boat, well, except on the water, and that's kind of the purpose of getting one. But the government loves fines, so some of y'all that are complaining today about how the police are being pretty well useless, well, they'll come by and give fines. You know, that's not money that you get, though. That's money that the government gets. Oh. Oh, a couple of locks. I hope nobody takes them. Alright. This I'll pick up. The other thing, I don't know if it's used or not. I'm not going to touch it. But some of the bigger garbage, I don't mind picking it up and throwing it away. There's a lot of places here that I like spending my money. And since I'm an outdoorsy kind of person, like pretty much the camping store here is about it. Sometimes they have stuff over at the grocery outlet that's cool. Like that's where I got my hammock. But for the most part, like I got my cot here. I got my floaties here. I got my gold pan here. I got the little dapper thingies that you get here. I mean, it's basically my favorite store. My two favorite stores in any town that I go to are going to be the sporting goods store and, of course, the lumberyard. I got an addiction to building. I have always had difficulties with communicating with people, especially when I'm overwhelmed. But as far as building things, that's something I've always been good at. It's always something I've had a lot of fun doing, and it's also something that I've spent a lot of time educating myself with. Yeah, people are scary and they annoy me, especially when they're in desperate situations. Because the more desperate a situation they're in, the more likely they are to do something wrong. Now, there's a lot of people here who are homeless, trying to make ends meet. But they do things that I don't do. I'm personally against. Only because I already recognize the repercussions, whereas most people, they will push it until they get the warning. and then they'll move on. Well, for me, I can't just keep moving on. There is too much at stake. There's too many lives at stake. Right now, I'm fighting real hard for getting people to understand that instead of being at each other's throats when we're all getting kicked by the same idiots, we should work together. Instead of it being, oh, us black people are being more victimized. No, us white people are being more victimized. No, us women are being more victimized. No, us men are being more victimized. I'll tell you it like this. We either work together or we get nothing. But also, you got expectations of white males that we should fight for all of your causes because we owe it to you, because we've got some privilege because we were born white, and you are out of your goddamn mind. I'm not falling for that bullshit. If I help you, it's because I care about you. If I help you, it's because there's some humanity that I see in you. A lot of people like to try to manipulate me because they want a particular type of help. And in most cases, that particular type of help and the particular type of trade that they're trying to engage in don't line up. I understand that for a lot of people, physically intimate favors are a common thing. For me, since I'm grossed out by mucus, I'm not interested in that portion of anybody's anatomy, male or female, because it's all gross. Now, what's this got to do with the boating permits over at that Tillamook store? Nothing. I was just going off on a tangent. Happens often. There's a lot of people who are going through stuff that does require them to have electricity, requires them to have warmth. There's a lot of people out here with physical disabilities. There's a lot of people out here who just end up getting sick. I mean, everybody gets sick, you know, but out here, you're not necessarily able to take care of hygiene every day. If you are, a lot of times you have to make a choice between doing that hygiene or going to an appointment where you're supposedly going to get help. You go to the appointment and they set you up for another appointment 3 weeks out, and another appointment 3 weeks after that. That's what makes us dependent. If we're not able to basically do the full-time job thing when we're disabled, if we're not able to full-time jump through disability hoops and travel, well, we get everything taken away from us. And how many of us actually chose to be disabled? For some of you who have been disabled your whole lives, all right, I'm not downing on you in any way, shape, or form. You guys probably still understand the whole getting picked on and the whole, you need to get a job, why don't you just get a job will fix it, job will fix it. Meanwhile, you're going to have problems even doing a regular gas station job or a flipping burgers job. For some people in wheelchairs, how are they going to be able to navigate through a lot of those McDonald's? You really have to have a lot going for you. I know people in wheelchairs who have been able to get college educations because of special rights for people in wheelchairs. And those degrees could help them in some areas. Jeff Baldridge would probably be a hell of a lawyer. Not as good as Wendell McPhee would be. Wendell McPhee is level-headed. Jeff Baldridge is level-headed, but he's also well, you'd have to meet him. He's one of my favorite people for a reason. Although I do tell him to go away often, frequently. He's very well grounded and very level-headed, but he's also whimsical at just the wrong moment sometimes. The boating permits here. Whenever I do anything, I don't think about just me unless I'm thinking about just me getting away from all of you. Because you're scary. You're frightening. The thing about neurotypicals versus high function autistic folks, we're inherently honest. And you are taught to inherently not be. A lot of y'all think that we're stupid and we don't get social cues. No, we do get the social cues. We just think they're stupid, that they're unnecessary. When you ask somebody a question, don't ask the question if you don't care. You ask somebody how they're doing, do you really care how they're doing? If they're honest with you about how they're doing, how are you going to treat them? And why? Do you treat everyone the same? No, you don't. No. Some people have opportunities that others don't. There's a lot of things that homeless people do because they don't have another choice or another place. And sure, you can say they have a choice. They can ignore it, pretend it's not happening, and allow everything in their life to lapse. Or they can try to make it by whatever means necessary. We all have bosses. We all have our own understandings. We all have our own beliefs. There's a lot of people who want to pull the whole, oh, well, you shouldn't do the crime if you didn't, or what is it? Don't do the crime if you don't want to do the time. I do want to do the time. It's the crime part that I'm against. I shouldn't have to break the law to try to get heard, or for people to actually listen to understand. What I have to deal with is sexism and stupidity, racism and ignorance, being told that it's my fault that you did what you did. No. I say things how they are. And when people want to do the neurotypical thing at me, I show them I know how to be neurotypical. I've observed you peoples for long enough. And when I say you peoples, and you want to take it as me saying derogatory in this particular case, I want you to know that I try very hard not to use the word neurotypical in a derogatory way. However, neurotypical to me is like what Nazi means to a Jew. That to me is what KKK means to black people. When a black person talks about the Klan, Are they saying it friendly, or are they using it derogatorily? Or are they using it educationally? And which day is we talking about? Are we talking about all black people? No. Just any of them want to talk about the Klan. Are we talking about every Jew? No, just the Jews who are talking about the Nazis. Just like every other group, there are people within each group who think that speaking out is the best way to do things, the best way to change things, the best way to affect people's minds. Affect, not infect. The problem is when only one side is seen, we show that there's nothing of this country worth saving. Might as well get on a boat. When people want to tell you that they care about you, but they just look the other way and make excuses. There are men who pay attention to their surroundings. A man who's autistic is more likely pay attention to his surroundings, not less. I gotta pick my nose. He's more likely to know what's going on. When y'all talk about the feminine side, there isn't one. Why are we assigning any emotions to a gender? Both genders have both. Men just aren't allowed to express their emotions or show emotions. And anytime somebody says it's okay for a man to have emotions and to show emotions, it's a trick. That's what we've learned. When I try to tell what's going on, I get talked over and bullied. That's not okay. A lot of times you guys don't understand what's going on because you haven't seen the first interactions through to the ones today. You also don't have enough experience with people in this kind of a situation. That's why I record this stuff. But most of y'all, you don't watch it all day long every day. A lot of my predators do. They want to find every little bit and piece they can turn in and claim I'm evil, which is fine. I'm still free and I'm still speaking up. Pom, pom, pom. I'm going to sit my little gas up. Now, I'm be thankful nobody got shot, nobody got blown up. Second time he's done that with his douchey vehicle. He accelerated all asshole-like at me up by the library, too. Up by the library, I didn't see his face, but I just saw his face now, and he looks like the guy who was staring at me in line over there at the Safeway the other day. I was trying to think of where I recognized him from, and then I went, that might be that stepdad of that 14-year-old girl who was assaulted. Might have just shaved his face. Man's not allowed to be overwhelmed. I love the name of the street. People have been breaking into stores around here, and it ain't cool. For a lot of them, the routes that they're taking shows they might be homeless. For some of the stuff that they're taking, it shows they got access to somebody with a vehicle. I recorded Chris on this channel talking about how he followed around Christian, changed vehicles several times. Christian was in a electric BMW with some other guy running around town. He said he stopped Christian and talked to him. Christian's, well, videos at some point within the last week, I believe. It's a lot of videos to go through, isn't it? Yeah. Especially not having a place to go through them. Here's the thing, is that I can't process or even hear the videos with traffic going by. I can try to do some of this stuff on my phone, but I also have to prove that I'm making the effort. All these other people who claim they made an effort, they never came forward to the public about it. They never came forward to the courts or to the police about it. They never made any effort to attempt to do any such thing. For people who claim to care, they pretty well screwed themselves. For a lot of people, they want to claim that I slandered them, but the evidence shows I told the truth. The evidence shows how people hopped on for entertainment. I mean, it's not like I had real friends that were going to actually care. See, that's the reason I had to try to trust Web Wingnuts. Because I never had any real friends. Who pretended to be real friends and pretended to care because I helped them a lot. And I helped a lot of people. And y'all don't get how overwhelming that is. When you help people how they need, they'll only help you by telling you what to do. Not helping you to do those things. There are people who I paid for them to come and see me. Because they'd say, well, that's a real touchy subject, isn't it? When people say, hey, I'll show up. I'll help you. I just need the money to get there. You send them the money to get there, even if it's the last of your money. The last of it. But they gave it to you. And then you show up and treat it like a vacation to cheat on your husband. Holy hell, that's not hell. And it's expensive, and it's time consuming, and it's at a critical moment when I need help the most. When people have procrastinated until the very last minute and allowed horrible atrocities to befall me. And I have to pay them after all this time of them pretending that they cared, but never trying to do any of the things that it takes to turn it in. And then, of course, when I speak up, these people just wasted time. They knew what they were doing. All of you know what you're doing when you blow somebody off, when you talk over them. And every single woman has been taught what? That talking about herself nonstop alleviates anything that she may have promised or sworn that she would do, or any actual help in the name of humanity. That's all men's jobs. A woman's job is to direct traffic, right? That's how we treat it. Men are expected to fix everything because everything is men's fault. And that's what we're taught since we're little kids. It's all men's fault. Men did it, men did it, men did it. No. The propaganda by the Bollingers resulted in a lot of harm against me. Same with propaganda against all men. Baseless propaganda. When you have to ignore the non-violent ways that mothers murder their children in order to make it so that it's a 50-50 ratio of fathers to mothers killing their kids. That says something about your group. There's also the fact that I'm having to talk to females in all these situations who don't understand. They don't understand what it's like to be a male, to be victimized because, well, we're the ones who are expected to do all the fixing. I think it'd be more worthwhile to go drown on the open ocean or get eaten by a shark or something. Lesson in futility. The propaganda against mentally ill. That term mentally ill should never be used. It is not a diagnosis. It's a hate word like the N-word. It's used to discredit the victim. Why don't you go to church? Why don't you go to TFCC? The problem is that I have to go to all these places alone. That's the problem. If I go to them alone, I will be blown off. There's a reason that I went in with people when they needed to get disability. When somebody's already got disability coming in and they just need a little bit of help, that's just a little bit of help. A little bit of time. And the amount of time that you spend arguing with a male, you could have already helped him how he needed. Helped him how you would have helped a woman. Oh wait, but with a woman you would have had a competition, wouldn't you? How many men and women will tell a woman when she's having problems to pretend like the man hit her? Pretend like he was abusive? Women are more likely to commit those kind of crimes because they're more likely to get away with it. They're more likely to get away with it because they are more likely to have support. They're also more likely to be able to garner sympathy. Oh, poor me, I'm just a girl. Am I really going to go get a 20-foot boat that's got 2 wheels? I might. I actually might. I got all the stuff up at camp. I'll have money for gas, hopefully. I'll be able to pay somebody to carry my stuff. Then again, I try that every month, don't I? Junkies don't want to actually help. Everybody else is too busy. We got people who are working full-time jobs and living in trailers. And you know how much it sucks for somebody who lives in a trailer to have to call the cops on somebody who's living in a parking lot? It sucks a lot. I'm going to keep my area safe to the best of my ability. That includes being safe for others. Because if it's not safe for others, it's not safe for me. Unfortunately, I know that I'm vulnerable and I know why. Those are 2 things that are held against me, often and frequently. If you know what you're up against, you should be able to defend against it. Really? You're out in the middle of the desert, and you got nothing but sand, and you've faced a Roman legionary before. You're literally naked and injured, and you got a Roman legionary standing right there. What are you likely to do? You're not likely to win. That's for certain. If you don't like that analogy or you don't get that analogy, well, you guys have all these great ideas about, oh, if somebody tried to shoot me, I'd this and I'd that. Would you have time? A lot of people that I know who don't carry firearms say if somebody tried to kill them, they'd shoot back. With what? Your mouth? Yeah. Oh, you'd piss yourself. Of all of the horrible things that I could be doing in the world. Oh, there's Jason Scudder driving by. Of all the horrible things that I could be doing in the world, getting a 20-foot boat to pile all my shit on isn't the worst of ideas. It also looks to have a pad underneath it, so I might be able to hook it up to the little tiny hook on the back of my car and not have to carry it at all. I'm pretty sure I'd have to unroll it in order to inflate it, though. I think it's like 21 feet, and it's not bright orange. It's one of the black ones with the, you remember the old type of rafts from the 1980s made out of rubber? Yeah, it's one of them. Maybe 70s. Of course, sometimes when you get something like that, you realize it's been sitting so long that rats have eaten holes in it, urinated on it and crapped on it and made nests in it. Or along the creases, it was sitting so long that the creases dried and cracked. Things no good. Or it's got wheels on it, but the bearings are sealed in place. They done rusted over sitting in a garage since 1976. There's the cool pictures, and then there's the reality of the gadget itself. But as we see, these government folks like to cruise around for billing acceptance. Do they get money for actually helping people? No. They get money by finding poor people, making it more difficult for us to survive. Ain't no such thing as thriving in America. You want to tell me about the 1 in a million miracles that had a lot of help? That's the thing that you leave out of all of your great and mighty miracle stories, all of the help that people had in the way they needed it, in the way they were asking. When Jamie asked for help moving, I helped her move. The whole world didn't need to know about her being abused by James. Now, did she use that as a manipulation tactic? Probably. I wasn't there for the beating. I was only there for the bruises. I heard James's version. I heard Jamie's version. I heard her son's version. And I also heard Jamie's version after the fact. You also get to see when you tell on a woman who did something wrong, she goes to her female friends, and the first thing they do is get on and slander your name as a group and talk about how they knew you were no good and you were always creepy. Fuck you. That's why we don't want to have anything to fucking do with you. There's no reason to be a good man. A lot of y'all can't tell the difference between nice and good. If you were just raped or beaten, if you go to a nice person, they might give you a sandwich. They might even brew you a cup of tea. The last thing they're actually going to do is help you to turn it in. When you're a male, you're on your own. See, that's the defining factor for most of us. And whether or not we get any services, and whether or not we get free college, and whether or not we get assistance getting off the streets. The worst thing that women have to deal with on the average day is possibly getting raped while she's fucked up on drugs and alcohol. Defining factors in the majority of rapes out on the streets. Drugs and alcohol. Drugs and alcohol. Drugs and alcohol. There's a lot of women out here who will straight up pretend like their boyfriend raped them if their boyfriend won't give them the drugs that they want right then and there. And this does harm all of us. It fucking hurts. That happened all the time in the Hood River area.